All right, it's 1:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission for December 16, 2024 to order. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Commissioner Varnell.
Here.
Commissioner Littlefield.
Present.
Ward 3 is vacant. Commissioner Hale.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Schuline. Here. Commissioner Wynn. Here. Commissioner George is not available. And Commissioner Cornett.
Here.
Very good. We do have a quorum. Can I have a motion concerning the approval of the Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting minutes for November 18, 2024?
Motion for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varnell. Any second? Second. Second by Commissioner Hale. Any discussion? We have a motion to approve the minutes from November 18, 2024 from Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Hale. Votes, please. Okay, we have 6 in favor and 1 abstained. Okay, reports from Traffic Services Division and our Municipal Counselor's Office. Sir?
All right, you've got our standard monthly report before you. On the commission-approved signals for public funding, last month at the tail end of or during this time, I had mentioned that 2 traffic signals had been awarded by the City Council, the signal at Lone Oak Drive and Northwest 150th Street, and at May Avenue and Northwest 192nd Street. We've got 2 other signals that are currently awaiting funding from sales tax and ARPA funds. They're the South Walker Avenue and West California Avenue signal on the Danforth Farms Boulevard, Dartmoor Boulevard, and Northwest 192nd traffic signals.
Okay, so just to clarify, there's only been 2 that's funded, is that correct?
At this point in time, that's correct. And those 2, the one at Lone Oak and the one at May Avenue, those will be dropping off this list when you see this report in January.
And then what's the South Walker Avenue and?
Those were the 4 signals that we had highlighted for Walker in California, Danforth, and Northwest 192nd, and the Lone Oak and the May Avenue. Those were all signals that were that the City Council had voted to fund using sales tax revenues and American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds. 2 of them have gone through design and construction contracts have been awarded, and 2 others are still pending.
Okay, so they're still just pending
Correct.
effort, where these 2 at the bottom?
Those have been, the council actually awarded construction contracts at their meeting on November 19th last month.
Okay, so they fund it, and then after they fund it, work's done on it to plan it, and then once it's all planned, then it goes to them again?
No, at this point in time, the City Council has awarded construction contracts for those 2.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like the South Walker one, they put money against it. So that's a thing that's been approved.
Right, yeah, they're just, plans have not been prepared. So
And then once the plans are prepared, then it goes back to them again, like here?
Right,
Okay,
for construction contracts to be awarded, that's
okay,
correct.
got it. All right, thank you.
All right.
Well, and then if I could just ask, do we know where it's at in its planning effort?
I've not had any word as to where any of the projects are at this point.
Any of those 2?
Correct.
Okay, those 3, okay.
And I did receive an inquiry, and I have passed that to the, also sent a copy to our Public Works Director, and I've not gotten a response back yet to be able to give you.
What was your inquiry?
Date.
My inquiry was just on where the status of that South Walker and West California intersection, where that signal
Where
was
it's at
in
in
the
the plan?
process.
Okay.
Just because we awarded it in February of 23, it was funded in May of 23, and then I almost got hit by a car last week. So I went ahead and said, where are we? So hopefully we'll hear back at some point
Next month, okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
And Stuart, I had inquired to you a couple weeks ago about the one at 150th and Rockwell. That's part of the widening project, and I think you sent that on too and hadn't heard back. Is that correct?
Yes, that one is, I know is part of a construction project. The last discussion I had with the project manager, I heard that right now they're working at revising the scope of the project because I think the estimates are exceeding the construction budget, so they're trying to work everything so that it fits within budget, so it can be advertised and bid.
Thank you.
The next report I've got for you is our Alternative Speed Abatement Program report. At this point in time, we have awarded, or the city has paid out $90,515.24. That's been used on the program, of which $47,791.62 came from the original matching funds for the program. We've got one pending commitment for an additional speed cushion to go in on Northwest 29th Street. So at this point in time, our funding balance is going to be around $1,100. And I believe it is later on, Mary, is it later this month? There's supposed to be another allocation of about $100,000 to continue the program. So we'll basically be able to continue the program uninterrupted. We're not going to have to wait for additional funds to come in. And then beyond that, you've got our list of yield signs, which we have installed through our administrative processes. If there are any other questions on the Section 3 report, I'd be happy to answer any of them.
Well, do we have any feedback on the speed humps and that kind of thing? Is everybody kind of happy? Do people feel that it's doing what they hoped it would?
We have had some public comment on it. Usually the people that will contact us are ones that are not advocates for the program, but they're relatively few.
Right.
I mean, it's been less than a handful of people that have given us feedback on the program.
But you haven't heard anything of satisfaction per se, where they're like, geez, yes, this is helping, I feel safer, or anything like that? Because that was our goal, was to get that feeling that whatever the problem was, this was a solution.
Would it be possible for us to reach out to the petitioners that originally had made the request and just to get their impression, is it accomplishing what we set out to do?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see if we can give you a summary on feedback from applicants at the next meeting.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
And
So nothing else from you, sir?
No, the only other thing I want to let you know is at the next meeting, our planning staff has asked for time to be able to make a presentation on Vision Zero. It'll be an informative item. So that'll be presented in the Section 3 reports for the January meeting.
All right. Thank you very much. Counselor, sir?
Nothing to report.
Thank you very much. Okay, there's no item in the consent docket, so we go on now to individual items. Item 5A, Caleb Morgan. It's up on the board, 3 subparts. And here he is. Sir, if I could have your name and address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Caleb Morgan, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. This project is in the vicinity of Northwest 11th Street and Broadway. There's several blocks in there that have parking that doesn't meet the time restrictions of other parking in the area. So we are working for one of the property owners, and he represents several property owners, but they're wanting to just provide consistency for parking, so make it all 2-hour restricted parking. So that's what this is for. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and next year I'll have to remember to wear a sweater.
It's our third annual.
Yeah.
So, anybody else want to speak on item 5A? Sorry, anybody else want to speak on item 5A? Yes, sir, if I could have your name and address, you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Hi there, my name is Chance. I am the general manager of Tesla, located near where we're speaking of. I'm located at 1125 North Broadway. Really our biggest concern is the size of our property currently and the proximity of what this does. It's a big impact for our associates, the people that we have employed on site due to the limited parking, and also for our customers at this time. We also have demos, we're a full gallery, so we have staff and customers that this will be impacting their ability to come into work, but also just come in and view our gallery without potentially having to pay just due to our zoning of the actual property itself.
Oh, there it is. Sir, if I could have your last name first.
Yes, Chance Billingsley, I apologize.
Okay, no, got it. And then you need to fill out a form when we're done talking, please. So what is currently around those buildings. First of all, which one is yours? The smaller one at the bottom?
My one is the one that's in the middle of those three highlighted areas.
In the middle, okay.
Yes, the smaller of the two.
The smaller, the one at the
Yes,
bottom?
that's correct.
Okay. And what is around it now?
Currently, there are actual like lined spaces on the front side on Broadway there.
Right.
And also on the north side on 11th. However, that curve that you're seeing on the south side, there's nothing.
Right.
It's just open space next to the road, so we utilize that as well.
And there's no time limits? at
No
all?
time limits. There's probably a collective, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots that are actually currently like marked. And then outside of that, there's no marking or zoning on the spots on the south side. I can't speak on the spots that are up by the northern building, the larger one.
So you don't want anything to change on the bottom?
Yeah, ideally, we'd like it to stay the same, mainly because of the aspect of, for our employees, we employ about 20 people on site. We also have customers that are coming in and out. The current size of the property itself offers about 30 spots. That's for us to do all servicing for most all Teslas in the Oklahoma area, all of our customers, and then any vehicles that we offer for demo drives, demonstration drives.
Okay. So if we could go back to Caleb, could you explain why you want that included?
Yeah, the other property owners in the area would like to be able to utilize those spots, and they seem to be monopolized by people staying there longer than 2 hours. So this is kind of share the parking for everybody else in the area. And as you guys are well aware, I mean, you can't reserve on-street parking for any business, and even when you're developing your site, you're not allowed to count those if for necessary parking spaces.
All right, thank you. Anybody else wanted to speak on item 5A? Okay, staff?
All right, you've got our comments before you. One thing, when we were researching this particular request, we did find a record from 1985 where along the north side of Broadway Circle, there is, I guess over the course of time, signs have been removed for various reasons, but there's supposed to be a 1-hour parking restriction on that north side. So pending action resulting from today's meeting, it'll either be reposted for 1-hour time-limited parking, or if it's approved for 2 hour, we will post the 2-hour parking signs. As far as parking, the manner of parking along Broadway Circle, there are no records where angle parking was approved. So if this item's approved, that section of the north side of Broadway Circle will be marked for parallel parking only. And as noted by the applicant, the intent is to expand the limits of current 2-hour time-limited parking. So this is not metered parking to the up Broadway all the way as far north as Northwest 12th Street at this point in time. So action on the request is going to be at the discretion of the commission. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have on the application.
So just to clarify, it's not metered, it's just 2-hour time limit.
Correct, it's just signed.
Just signed, okay. All right. We ready for a motion? No, you have any questions? Okay. All right. So do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
I'll move the application be approved so we can discuss it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5A by Commissioner Schuline. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Commissioner Cornett. All right, sir, you got something?
OSHA, are you saying that you currently have employees that are using these parking spots now? Yeah. Please do.
Yes, we do, just currently based off of the proximity to the building and also just the limited parking in the area, yes. Primarily, it's our customers as well, though.
Okay, but so for your employees, the 2-hour limit will force them to park elsewhere.
Correct.
Is there parking elsewhere?
At this time, no. So that's something that we would have to be looking into, obviously. But no, as of right now, we do not have another parking option. There's on the back side of our property, there's about 4 spaces.
Okay, thank you.
And so when you say the backside, you're talking west
If
side?
you look to the left of where you see that Broadway Place sign in green, there's about 4 spots there that are also street parking. Beyond that is private parking on the north side behind the larger building in question. Other than that, that would be all the parking options in that area at this time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
I'm kind of curious, is that parking being utilized behind that large? Is it being, I don't ever see much activity at that building. I don't know.
It's a great question. It is being utilized. There's multiple businesses operate out of the old Mercedes building. They utilize that. We have tried to work with them. They have maintained to keep that as private parking. We've looked at options also as like renting out spots. It seems to be something that's not on the table at this time.
Right, and Commissioner Schuline, to answer your question, the section of Broadway Avenue, or North Broadway Place between Northwest 11th Street and Northwest 12th Street was closed and vacated by the City Council. That's why that particular stretch has got a private street marker on it. So all the on-street parking on Broadway Place between 11th and 12th is actually on private property.
Wow.
If we do approve this, where are your people going to park?
That's a fantastic question. At this time, I don't have an answer for you. This is definitely something that just came up in the last 2 to 3 days for us. So we don't know at this time, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, please, come on up.
Just to clarify with what Stuart was saying, even if this doesn't pass, some of it will change to parallel, and also it'll change to 1 hour timed. Is that correct? So in some ways, this would actually help because it'll go from 1 hour to 2 hour. Is that correct?
Just on the section along the north side of Broadway Circle between Broadway Place and Broadway Avenue. That's
Right.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
The section along Broadway Avenue itself, north of Park Avenue, and on Northwest 11th Street, there have been no parking controls that we've ever found records on for either of those roadways.
Right, and so just to clarify, the north part of the lower area, the Tesla area, will at least be 1 hour limited, based upon current records that we have. The second thing is the bottom part that's curved, that's always been, when it was car lot before, they would always back cars in. And what you're saying is that needs to be marked as parallel parking.
Well, it's not authorized for angle parking, so if anything was to change in that area, it would be to apply. We'll either install, if no action's taken today, we will reinstall the 1 hour time-limited parking signs along the north side of Broadway Circle, and we will add parallel parking only because that section of roadway has not been approved for angle parking. And other than that, if there is no action taken on this particular case today, whether it's deferred or not approved, that would be the only resulting change.
Okay, then I said it wrong. I thought it was the north part of that lower angle, but it's the southern part that curved as the 1 hour parking.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the one that's not marked at all, that would be 1 hour parking, parallel parking.
That's correct.
And the cars that are backed in there right now, on page 9, the 2 pictures on page 9, they're cars that are backed in there now. Are those service vehicles? Are those demo vehicles?
That's a combination of service vehicles and, employee vehicles.
Okay.
If the goal is to increase parking, I don't know what the zoning is, obviously. There's definitely the capacity there, as you can see, to do angled parking. Parallel parking is going to achieve you maybe 3 spots, though, at the end of the day.
And what's triggering to remarket and put up new signs? This request?
No, it was well, we will not remark the north side of Broadway Circle, but since the last record that we have for parking control in the area is for 1 hour time limited parking, following the, whatever the outcome is from today's vote, it'll either be marked. If it's not approved, then we will reinstall the 1 hour time limited parking. If it is approved, we will install signs for 2 hour time limited parking. But either way, our records show that there's supposed to be at least a parking control along the north side of Broadway Circle. So we've got to put something back.
And 90-degree angle parking is angle parking. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's correct.
Compared to parallel?
Anything other than parallel parking is considered angle.
Okay. So they would have to, well, the 1 hour thing doesn't, it doesn't matter, okay.
I think, just as discussion point, I think the biggest problem I have is that it's a public street and it's being used for a private property for various reasons, I understand that, but they're taking up all of the parking for private use so that their business can function. And there's not any plan for moving that to a private location at this point. Obviously, they haven't had very much time to do that, but I think that's my biggest hangup with this is that Caleb's right, that this is public street parking, and it's not Tesla parking. And it's not even paid parking. Like it is at this point a parking lot for Tesla, and that's not what public streets are for. So I think it should be approved, but.
And again, just so we're clear, they're losing their free-for-all no matter what,
Just on the south side there.
which is what they use the most. That's really probably why they're here, would be my guess. Okay.
Would it be possible to approve some of this and possibly leave some parking? I mean, I can respect the fact that you guys really have nowhere to go as far as the parking. And I would fully agree that it is a public street and should be open. But I also understand they're kind of landlocked.
I was about to say, it's within the commission's ability to vote up or down any one of the various components of this particular request.
Okay, so if you had to lose a stretch of parking of those three, which one would you prefer to maintain?
Just stay up here, okay. I think it's very obvious by the photos which one we would prefer to maintain. However, which would be the southern part. However, at this point, we're very open. Obviously, we're not trying to abuse public streets for our business purpose. We have explored, I've been with Tesla for a year now, running this operation, and we have explored other options. Unfortunately, just due to other businesses around us, they're not willing to flex as much as we'd like. So in order for us to kind of operate in our current confines, it requires us to kind of utilize sometimes that space around our property. Definitely don't want to abuse that or come across like that by any means. However, we are trying to make the best, and we definitely want to make a positive impact in the community and around us. So yeah, that would be the obvious choice of what I would prefer to have the most of. But at the end of the day, I'm very flexible, and I'm open to whatever you guys are willing to throw out there. I appreciate it.
Okay. Do we have any, we do have a motion on the table, but do we have anybody who wants to try to talk about the motion real quick, or are we ready to move on? Okay. Yes, sir. No. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Schuline. Stand by.
here.
Yes, stand by.
What's the parking situation on the south side of that curve? I see one vehicle parked off to the east side. Is that on-street parking on the whole opposite side of the street?
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure we're talking about the same place. Is somebody able to pull up the map?
North Broadway Circle.
North Broadway Circle.
Your area is on the north side.
vehicle's
I'm
on
talking
right
about the
side
south.
there.
From the gas station.
That's currently, I don't know, I can't speak on that. It's not zoned by any means. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's more part of the street than anything. Just behind that car that you see on the right, there are like spots that are there, but they are all privately owned spots. There's a flower shop and some other things there that all possess those spots.
So are those all approaches along there, Stuart, or?
Along the south side of the road of Broadway Circle, yes, there are a number of driveway approaches. There are also, on Broadway Circle, actually on both sides of the road, once you get to the west of Broadway Place, between it and Robinson Avenue, there are a number of businesses which have got, we have no records for angle parking, and there are a number of signs and pavement markings which would suggest that the spaces are in fact privately owned, but I don't believe that's the case. I think that these spaces have just been marked over the course of time. At this point in time, when we prepared this item, we were not looking at what was happening on the remainder of Broadway Circle. We were just focused on the area of request as submitted by the applicant.
But maybe with a little bit of time, we could identify what that is on the south side, and maybe there would be enough spaces there which would make up for the difficulties that this would cause if it were approved today.
Well, there is that, and you also probably run into the issue that there are probably businesses that have associated parking specific to their business, and they may be under the impression that they either own the spaces, in which case, we'll just have to go through and research right-of-way records and any other permit records. But at this point in time, we don't have any records for anything for angle parking at any point along Broadway Circle. So
Or parallel.
Well, parallel, we don't typically keep records on, because parallel parking is allowed. Anywhere parking is allowed, parallel parking would be allowed. It's angle parking, which requires a recommendation from the commission, right, and then approval from the city council in the form of an ordinance. But we don't have we have not located any ordinance documents for angle parking on Broadway Circle between Robinson and Broadway Place.
And there's no parking anytime restrictions on that side for parallel parking?
No.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Caleb?
I was contacting our client because, we want to make sure this is what they want. We don't want to cause a situation between neighbors, so I want to verify that, and they did, and I think their concern is not particularly individuals parking there, but inventory parking there for days on end, untagged. So that's what he mentioned to me. I can't speak to that, but that's what he mentioned to me.
Right, and the basic thing is on-street parking is tagged vehicles that's approved? Is that, registered vehicles? Sir, yeah?
You would have to be registered to park on the street.
You would have to be registered to park on the street. So cars that are for sale from a dealership can't be on public property that are not registered.
Without a registration, they can be cited.
Okay. Just everybody who's driven by there knows that there's been cars for sale on that circle backed in for years and years, not just a Tesla problem. All the dealership that was there. Okay, so any other discussion? You're good to go on your motion? We're good?
I love my Tesla.
All right, we have a motion to approve item 5A by Commissioner Schuline, seconded by Commissioner Cornett. Can I have your votes, please? Item has passed, 4 in favor and 3 opposed. All right. We go on now to item 5B. Caleb Morgan. The 2 items that are listed up on the screen. Sir, you have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. This project is being constructed in the northeast corner of 13th Street and Broadway Avenue, and it is an application for angled on-street parking, including 2 ADA spaces. This is conjunction with a effort to change the lanes from 4 lanes with a left turn lane to 3 lanes roughly. And that'll happen over time as projects in the area develop. So this will just be an adjustment to the east side of the roadway, going from 2 lanes northbound to 1 lane northbound with this parking. We've made some other adjustments that are getting reviewed through city staff for the public paving plans that are accommodated with this. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So you're saying, I'm sorry if you come up, so you're saying this is going to get put in right away
Right.
and it's going to lose 1 lane of northbound traffic?
That's right.
Just for that block?
That's right. The eventual final development expected would be several blocks and both sides of the street. So each property developer is kind of doing their portion of it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wanted to speak on item 5B? All right, staff?
All right. Well, this is the second application for angle parking the city's received since it passed ordinance 27548 back in March of this year. With respect to ordinance requirements, North Broadway Avenue between 13th and Northwest 14th Street meets the eligibility requirements for angle parking because the regulatory speed limit is not more than 35. The average daily traffic volume is less than 15,000 vehicles per day, and the roadway is not classified or functions as a highway or an expressway or their associated frontage roads. So to accommodate the requested angle parking area on the east side of Broadway Avenue, the applicant is proposing to reconfigure Broadway. To create space for on-street parking, the applicant's parking exhibit incorporates the northbound curbside lane and a portion of the existing public right-of-way next to the lane into an angle parking lay-by. So the reconfigured roadway will have 1 northbound lane, 2 southbound through lanes, plus dedicated southbound left and right turn lanes. The northbound curbside lane will be used to make up approximately half of the perpendicular stall depth required for the angle parking area. So what's being proposed is the addition of 18 structured angle parking spaces on Broadway Avenue. And the total number of parking spaces on this particular block, which will be bounded by Broadway on the west, basically the Santa Fe Railroad on the east, and then Northwest 16th Street on the north and Northwest 13th on the south. The number of structured parking spaces, or the number of parking spaces on the block is going to increase from about 10 to 18 once you include the 18 structured spaces. So the 2 reserved parking spaces for the physically disabled in this particular block will appear to meet the required ratio based on the number of parking spaces required under PROAG. So action on this item is going to be at the discretion of the commission.
Can I ask something? He mentioned a bigger plan. Are you aware of the bigger plan that's dealing with
Yes,
all of Broadway?
That's on page 13 of the agenda, of this particular agenda item. There it is, on the screen before you. This is a concept drawing from about January of last year, and it shows additional development to the north of 14th Street, running all the way up 16th Street, and then potential redevelopment on the west side of Broadway. Well, reconfiguration of the west side of Broadway, not redevelopment, because that side has substantially already developed.
And based upon the amount of vehicles, 1 lane of traffic can handle that amount, is what you're saying, because it's below the 15,000, or, yeah.
I'll let the applicant address that.
Based on our research, that is correct. We're proposing eventually a 3-lane section, which would have a center left turn lane. And currently, there's around 11,000 vehicles per day. So all our research shows that a 3-lane section could handle that. And that's 2-way, by the way, 11,000 vehicles per day.
Right, and then with the add-on of the businesses, whatever it would be, will that increase the amount of vehicle traffic, or, because right now the vehicle traffic is mainly through traffic?
Right, it will. So you might see, it will be less of an issue with the number of lanes, but more about turning and the intersection. So you'll likely see more of an impact on the intersection. So at that point, we may need to install signals or whatever it is to accommodate that. And this development will pay into the impact fees like every development, which will help accommodate that. So our expectation is the number of lanes would be sufficient. You may have more issue with intersections.
Okay. And that's where that 15,000 came in that you mentioned, that it's one of the requirements to have angle parking is not more than a certain amount.
Yeah, right. That was developed when the original angle parking ordinance was presented to the commission and to the city council. I think the section that Mr. Morgan is referring to is the last paragraph on page 3 of your staff report. And I'll just go ahead and read that for you. The current daily traffic volume on North Broadway Avenue in the block between Northwest 13th Street and Northwest 14th Street is 11,020 vehicles per day. The applicant's engineer states the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments criteria for evaluating roadways asserts a capacity of 14,000 vehicles per day for 3-lane roadways with 2-way left turn lanes. The applicant's engineer states the proposed lane reduction will not have a significant traffic impact on North Broadway Avenue.
Okay, well, that answered what I wanted to make sure, because that has come up in the past where we were concerned about going to 1 lanes and with the amount of vehicles and all that. Okay. Now, anybody else have any discussion on 5B before we, okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So hypothetically, Tesla could have come in and said, we want angle parking in that little spot. They could have done that?
Well, they still can.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that Tesla can come in and say, we'd like to have angle parking and remove that 1-hour parking limit. But of course, then from our discussion, they shouldn't park for sale vehicles on it. They can use it for other things.
Gotcha.
Just,
Trying to help a brother out.
well, yes, we are. Okay, did you have
We'd be
something?
happy to assist to Tesla.
Yeah, hire him.
Okay, do we have a motion concerning item 5B, sir?
And I would like to second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Schuline, second by Commissioner Cornett. Any discussion on this?
I just want to say that Commissioner Schuline and I were in a meeting probably 6 or 7 years ago about Broadway and how it is 3 different widths as you get closer to the crazy Winans Park where people keep running into those steins. And so we were with planning and city council people and whatnot discussing Broadway, and I'm really excited to see this actually starting to take shape. I'm really excited to see a lot of that retail coming in on that side, but the fact that this street's going to be slower, it's going to be a lot more functional. I'm excited about it.
Quick question, just for a comparison on this one. I read through the minutes from the last meeting. I think Commissioner Hale had brought up an issue on Walker, where there's some backup going on where we had reduced the lanes down to 1 in each direction as well. What's the comparison on traffic on those compared to Walker and here?
Great question.
I don't have traffic volume information for me on Walker Avenue. I would have to find that and provide it separately. I don't have a tendency to think that the volumes on Walker are as high as they are in this particular section of Broadway.
Something worth noting though is that we were talking about when school is being let out, so it is an influx of traffic versus this is sustained over 11,000 over a long amount of time.
Additionally, Walker, I believe, where you're talking about, if it's south of the river or along the river, that's 2 lanes. So we'll have 3 lanes, which helps reduce the amount of conflicts with vehicles able to pull off and wait to turn left instead of blocking the lane. So that does help with this.
The problem with where specifically we were speaking last time was 36 and South Walker. And at that particular intersection, which is a boulevard, there is no turn lane.
Yeah.
And if any of these intersections, whether it be 13th, 14th, 11th, whatever, if that were to be the case, it would be a problem.
Yeah, that's what's actually different. Okay, any other talk on item 5B? Okay, we have a motion to approve 5B from Commissioner Schuline, seconded by Commissioner Cornett. Votes, please. Oh, is it me? It's me. Sorry. And I'm in. Okay. Item has passed with all 7 in favor. Okay, we go on now to item 5C, Kim Rice, no parking anytime restrictions, west side. There's the word up there. Okay, do we have anybody here to speak on this item? Okay, staff?
All right, this item is actually a kind of a companion to one that the commission approved back in 2013 when the developer for the Valencia 2 subdivision was putting in a public park on the east side of Andalusia Drive. In this particular case, Mr. Rice is requesting kind of a mirroring no parking anytime restriction, which will be on Andalusia Drive either to 1 block to the north of Cerrado Circle and 1 block to the south. Mr. Rice has obtained a letter of support from the developer for the Valencia 2 subdivision. The only residents that abut this particular area where they're seeking the parking restriction don't take any access to this particular street, so they've demonstrated support for the request as presented, and action will be at the discretion of the commission.
All right, do we have a motion concerning 5C?
Motion for approval?
Motion to approve item 5C by Commissioner Barnell.
Second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Hale. Any discussion? Yes, sir. I believe it said in the letter that there's the parking lot. If you look just right around the corner there, could you go to the one that shows the parking lot? There it is. You see right up there in the top left, there's a parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's what he said in his letter, I think.
Yeah, that's the only area parking. And now there's on-street parking that'll still be available to the north and to the south, so there'll be opportunities for that. And you know, all the other surrounding streets have still got on-street parking allowed. It's just there's apparently just interest in prohibiting parking on both sides of Andalusia Drive, basically from Northwest 180th Street on the north and, well, 1 block to the south of Cerrado Circle. The street naming convention for this particular edition makes it difficult to describe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other talk on item 5C? We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Hale, and we're ready to vote. Item has passed, 6 in favor, 1 against. Okay, we go on now to 5D, Caleb Morgan. 3 items that are listed on the screen. Sir, you have up to 5 minutes.
This is some more on-street parking. It's parallel. So this application is specifically for the 88 spaces. So it's in the vicinity of 150th and Penn, further to the west, but it has 2 ADA spaces on Gamble's Trail and 1 on Bill Atkinson. So this is to help service any parking in the area as it's on-street parking. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right, anybody else want to speak on 5D? Okay, staff?
All right, you got a comments before you. As part of this particular development, they're proposing the construction of 52 on-street structured parking spaces, which will be divided between Gamble's Trail Drive and WP Bill Atkinson Q Boulevard. Based on the number of parking spaces, ProAg and ADA requires at least 3 accessible parking spaces for blocks with 51 to 75 spaces on their perimeter. This particular block will have 52 structured parking spaces, so the number of spaces appears to meet the required ratios proposed in ProAg. So action on the request will be at the discretion of the commission.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5D?
I'll move we approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cornett. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Littlefield. Do we have any discussion on 5D? Okay, we have a motion to approve 5D from Commissioner Cornett, second by Commissioner Littlefield. We're ready to vote? That's my problem again. I'm in. All 7 in favor, passed. Thank you very much. Do we have any comments from citizens? Item 6. Okay, reports and other items from traffic commissioners, et cetera. Commissioner Varnell,
None for me, thanks.
Commissioner Littlefield.
Just got a question. There was a citizen called in a complaint to 911 for a violation of a no parking anytime zone on a neighborhood street, and a vehicle was sent out that was marked parking enforcement. Can you explain the difference between an officer coming out and doing that, or what is parking enforcement?
Yes, we have employees who are not commissioned police officers, but they are employees of the court who can sign parking citations. Embark has also hired people who are certified to do parking enforcement. And so they're not police officers, and they're not equipped the way a police officer is, but they do have the authority to issue parking citations.
Usually you see them driving around in the downtown area looking for the actual metered parking.
Yes.
So in this case, they went out on a 911 call. That's something different, haven't?
Yeah, they'll respond to those. There's another issue. We do handicap parking enforcement is done by part-time employees that will come out, and they get paid based on hourly wage, and they write handicap parking citations anywhere in the city. So you might see someone who's not even in a parking enforcement vehicle issuing a citation to a car in a handicap zone.
Very good. Okay, thank you, sir.
And they can do that on a private lot?
Yeah, say like a business that's marked handicap.
grocery
yes.
store or whatever?
That's correct. That's right. You gotta respect
We
it.
get somebody out there looking now. All right, go to Commissioner Hale,
Nothing to add, sir.
Commissioner Schuline.
I've received a couple of complaints about the intersection at Northwest 13th and Classen, where the new on-cue is going in. I understand there have been several accidents there maybe. I wonder, is there any discussion about maybe reconfiguring that intersection a little bit, or it seems like it's going to be really busy.
Well, on that particular intersection, there is a southbound slip lane that used to run between Classen and would take you straight on to Western. As part of that on-cue development, that slip lane has been closed. But other than that, there's no substantial reconfiguration plan for the intersection.
Okay, thank you.
So, but the accidents are happening now.
Happening, yep.
So is that asking the captain to send some people out there to just look at it, make sure there's nothing wrong, or is there some change to the road that occurred besides that slip lane?
I think if anything, we would probably have to pull the crash reports and to see if we can get a sense as to what trends may be occurring. We would just have to look into it first.
So you'll look at it at that side to see if there's any road changes or anything in that, and maybe you could ask your people to go. Do they have any time of day that's kind of happening?
No, I think probably during the busiest time of day, during rush hour.
All right. Could you maybe send somebody out there just to look, sir?
Yes, I made a note here. I'll pull the crash reports. We'll examine what collisions are happening and what might be causing those, and then we'll send enforcement out to address those items.
All right. Very good. Yes, sir.
Nothing. Easy.
Commissioner Cornett.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a note that I've been part of this process with a lot of folks on the Vision Zero presentation that's coming before you next month, and I'm really excited for you to see some of the work that's been done and some of the requests that we have in there, including some additions to our ASAP program. So I'm really excited to see what you all think about it. And don't be mean.
Don't be Hate it, just say no. Okay, Captain, you got anything else? Oh, wait a second, oh, we got another, Commissioner Barnell. Yes, sir.
Just a quick question. Our next meeting is on Martin Luther King Day. Will that,
It is on the Friday
so it'll be the
of the
next,
week of Martin Luther King Day. So I believe our next meeting is January 24th.
yeah, 24th instead of the 20th? Okay, thanks.
Good point. Good point. I had that wrong too. And that's also Inauguration Day, the 20th. Okay, so the next meeting is the 24th of January.
Which will be your one and only Friday meeting of the year.
Right. Okay? Anybody else from the commissioners? Anything else? Okay. Captain, anything else, sir?
No report.
All right, thank you. Counselor, anything else?
No, I'm going to have to come up with something eventually, but nothing, nothing at the moment. I wanted to say no.
No,
just
no, no.
because it was Christmas.
Oh, no, okay. All right. Can you beat that, staff?
No.
No. All right, anybody else has any other business? Okay, everybody, we got to stay in place. We're going to stand for a picture. They're going to leave the lights on.